Hey everyone, Arloon here, coming to you with another guide, this time for Xiangling. Now, Xiangling is a 4-star character that is actually really good with the DPS role, but as a sub DPS, she can be a main DPS as well, with just a switch of her weapon, which I will show you in this video, but at the same time, I can't show you the full extent of it because I don't have that certain weapon upgraded. Now, if you do find these guides helpful, please do consider subscribing because YouTube is telling me that 90% of my viewers aren't subscribed. So if I can get even like 1% of that subscribed, then it would really help out the channel. So if you haven't subscribed, please do consider subscribing. I'm doing more guides. Also, I've started up a Discord channel. It's still really small right now, but the Discord isn't just for Genshin, but if you haven't noticed, I do like stuff like anime and stuff like that, and I've made references of it throughout my guides. So if you want a cool place to hang out and talk about anime and other stuff like that, then you can head down into our Discord, link in the description down below, and also don't forget to subscribe. Before anything else, just know that this Xiangling is Constellation 6 because I've been pulling for... I used all my free Primogems on Venti Banner trying to get Fischl, but I got a lot of Xiangling instead. So for this Xiangling, the only constellations that actually provide a huge boost in damage is the 1, 4, and 6, and of course the 3 and 5, but that's universal for all characters. So if you have Xiangling at Constellation 0, you're probably gonna do about 30% less damage, overall damage, than a Constellation 6 Xiangling, because Constellation 4, 1, 4, and 6 all provide just a straight up damage increase for her and for her party members, Pyro party members. And of course, 3 and 5 is just a straight up damage increase for any character. So just know that if you have Xiangling at Constellation 0, you're probably going to do about 30% less overall damage than this Xiangling for this build. But she is still pretty powerful at C0. She is very still usable. For her talents, if you want Xiangling for main DPS, you'll want to upgrade her normal attack as well. But if you're just building her as a sub DPS like I am, then you only need Goba and Pyronado. Her talents are pretty straightforward. They basically, Goba and Pyronado just does AoE damage over time when you activate them, and her Ascension 2 talent just increases the range of Goba, and her Ascension 4 talent, it drops Chili Pepper when Goba ends, and if you pick it up, you gain 10% attack, which is not that high, so it's not really that needed. So if you want, you can just leave Xiangling at level 60 without ascending her, because the talent is not really that strong, but then again, it's still free damage. So if you want her to grow as a damage dealer, then of course you'll need her level. For her weapon, I'm using Dragon's Bane, which in my opinion is probably her best weapon as a sub DPS. If you want her to be your main DPS, then her best weapon would be Crescent Pike. Now, why do I think Dragon Bane is her best weapon? Well, it's because she pairs really well with any Hydro character. Xiangling is capable of doing off-field damage, which means she doesn't need to be on the field in order for her to do the damage that she can do. Now, because of that, she pairs really well with any Hydro character. So the reason why this is really good is because this effect actually works even if she is off-field. So you don't need her to be on the field in order for this effect to work. So this effectively just increases her damage by 24% if you're using a Hydro character to do damage for you. There is even a better way of utilizing that, which I will get to later. She scales off Elemental Mastery, which is why the Dragon's Bane also is pretty good, because it also scales Elemental Mastery as its substat. And not only that, but since if you pair her with the Hydra character, she's going to be vaporizing everything, thus the Elemental Mastery will be really useful. But like I said, if you want her as a main DPS, you want her out on the field, then Crescent Pike would be better, because she will be doing that physical damage, and her attacks are so fast that Crescent Pike's ability is extremely useful for her. Crescent Pike on Xiangling is pretty nuts. It's pretty strong. Let me also show you how Crescent Pike works. Remember, this Crescent Pike is only level 40 out of 50, so it's not going to do amazing damage, but when fully upgraded, it will do very good damage. So if you can see here, once you get an orb, you get the effect of the Crescent Pike, which makes your attacks hit a lot more. A lot more. And with Goba always giving one particle, this will basically be up all the time, and you can see all the damage numbers with Crescent Pike. This will just increase the higher the level of Crescent Pike is, and the more refines that you have, and that is why Crescent Pike is such a good weapon for a physical Xiangling. Now, you don't really need to build her purely physical damage, but it really helps if you want her as a main DPS with the Crescent Pike. As for her artifacts, I am using a 4-piece Crimson Witch of Flames. Now, I thought that 2-piece Crimson Witch of Flames and 2-piece Noblesse would be good enough for her, but I found that using a 4-piece Crimson Witch of Flames does yield more damage, because you will be vaporizing a lot with Xiangling, but if you won't be, then it would be better to use Noblesse. But that's very suboptimal if you're just gonna use her for her raw pyro damage. So vaporizing is the way to go, and that means Crimson Witch of Flames is better because it boosts both Goba and the Pyronado, while Noblesse only boosts Pyronado. So, and after testing it, the damage difference is very minuscule. Noblesse will come out on top on Pyronado, but only by like 200 or 300 damage per tick, which is not a lot. But if you count Goba and Pyronado at the same time, then Crimson Witch will come out on top in the DPS. So I do recommend Crimson Witch of Flames rather than Noblesse. Now, you want a Pyro Cup, of course, as always. Elemental percent is better for the cup. As for her Hourglass, you can go one of two ways. If you want to maximize her damage, you can go with an attack Hourglass, or you could go with an energy recharge Hourglass, which will help you keep her Pyronado up. But if you have a Pyro character that is a battery for Xiangling, like Bennett or Diluc, then you don't really need the extra energy recharge. They are more than enough to provide the energy needed for Xiangling, especially if she's just a sub DPS. If she's a main DPS, even better, because she's gonna get even more. But you probably need those energy recharge substats if you are using her as a main DPS, because Goba only provides one particle, and Pyronado actually needs 80 energy cost. Goba provides one particle per tick, which is pretty slow. So if you don't have, or if you don't want to put on a character that will provide battery for Xiangling, then definitely go for energy recharge on the Hourglass. For the hat, if you need crit rate, then go for crit rate or crit damage if you're needing for crit damage. The first thing you should do when deciding for crit rate or crit damage hat is to see if you have 50% crit rate. If you have 50% crit rate, then you can use a crit damage hat. If you don't have 50% crit rate, then go for a crit rate hat. Now, Xiangling is only as good as her team. Because Xiangling can do off-field damage, she needs a good team in order to maximize on that off-field damage. Now, her best pair is Xingqiu, because Xingqiu also does off-field damage, which means she and Xiangling can work together to do Vaporize and Hydro damage without having to be on the field at all. That means just a plain damage increase for your main DPS. If you don't know how to build Xingqiu, I already have a guide on that on the channel. You can check it out over there. Now, the other two characters, you usually get an Animo character because of the Viridescent Vener, which is just a straight damage increase, and then a main DPS character like Bennett or Diluc or Tartaglia. Any of the Hydro characters can actually work, but you don't actually need them if you already have a Xingqiu. For this team, I'm using a main DPS Bennett. Main DPS Bennett guide in the future as well, so if you want to see that, please do subscribe. But you can use characters like Diluc, Tartaglia, any of the other main DPS characters, because, like I said, she does her damage off field, which is really nice. One of the hardest things about Tartaglia is he is very selfish, and you don't want to switch him off field because his E will go on cooldown. So if you partner Xiangling and Tartaglia, you can actually vaporize Xiangling's Pyronado, which will do an exquisite amount of damage. But let me show you how this team works. If you watch the Xingqiu video, you already know how this team works because I did showcase this team already in that video, but let me show you again. You can replace Bennett with any character like Diluc, for example. But you can see how this party performs, and look at the insane damage that Pyronado is doing. 10,000, 25,000 crits, and it does all Vaporize because of Xingqiu. Now I used Xiangling as my main DPS there, but it could be Bennett for the main DPS, and you will just be adding his E to the damage because all of Xiangling's kit can do damage off field, so you don't need Xiangling on the field at all while doing the burst damage. Now, one last tip is when you partner Xiangling with characters like Barbara or Mona, their application of Hydro is actually a little slower than other Hydro characters, which means if you have Pyro applied first, then you're going to be vaporizing their attacks rather than Xiangling's Pyronado, as you can see in this clip right here. So in order to fix this, all you have to do is apply Hydro first, and then use Xiangling's ult, and then switch back and then continuously apply Hydro. As you can see in this clip right here, it works just fine now, except Barbara dies. Let me also show you Child to some extent. If you use Child with Xiangling, they work really well together as with other Hydro characters. And that is Xiangling, a really good sub DPS Pyro character that can do a lot of damage off field, thus increasing your party's damage exponentially without even being on the field itself. She was the key in me completing Abyss 12 with 9 stars because she just straight up increases the damage of the team without even being there, plus increases the damage of my main DPS, which is Diluc. So if you are having doubts in building Xiangling, I hope this video was informative for you to help you decide if you want to build Xiangling or not. Everyone has Xiangling because she's a free character and she's given for free. So even at C0, she is really great, and I hope this video helped you in any way, shape, or form. If you did find it helpful, please do subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.